What's going on, Freedom Fam? We're back again with another video. Wanted to talk to you guys about this article rather that I came across. It's regarding late mortgage payments due to everything that's been going on. It's been affecting Black home ownership, and I feel like there's some lessons that we can all take from this article. We're gonna go into it, and I just want to break it down kind of a little bit as we go along. All right, so article comes from USA Today. We're gonna start here. So this is about a lady who has a daycare. They start off with a story on a lady who has a daycare in Jamaica, Queens. Here's what happened to her. So I'm just gonna get to her quote. Let's give a little bit of backstory. So she had a roughly $2,200 monthly mortgage payment. It sounds like she's been doing the daycare out of her actual home, and she couldn't afford to pay it. It says after resuming her payments in September, she is paying nearly $1,400 more a month to make up for missed payments and to meet requirements to have her loan modified. Here's a quote: "Even though I have the money, it's giving me anxiety so bad. Every morning when I get up, I'm worried, and then at night when you're trying to sleep, I'm lying there counting. I'm adding and subtracting because I still have bills." Now, as we're going forward in the article, first thing that comes to mind, and I'm not speaking towards these particular situations, but when you hear, this is not something that comes from us specifically, but anyone who knows about personal finance, who actually knows what they're talking about, they're going to advise that you have a decent emergency fund, right? The Dave Ramsey's will say start off, get that first $1,000, work your way to 6 to 8 months expenses, right? Now we see why that's so important, because of times like these. And if you haven't learned that lesson yet, from these stories, you should take that lesson away. Not saying that she didn't do that. These are totally different times. But you can see that in this situation, it gives you a little bit of cushion. We're going to go on just a little bit. There's a few points that were just very interesting to point out. So we're going to go here. Between August 2020 and March, 17.6% of Black homeowners fell behind in their mortgage payments, compared to 6.9% of white homeowners. And it's brought by CAP. And it says the gap offers another glimpse of how the pandemic took a greater financial toll on Black Americans, who typically had less of a financial safety net, that emergency fund. It says Black Americans had less of a financial safety net to help them weather the crisis than their white counterparts. Now, are there more factors than one, and why that's so? Absolutely. We're not here to debate that. Absolutely. There's more factors than one. It's not as simple as, our white counterparts are saving and we're not saving. It goes a lot deeper than that. I don't think there's any discrepancy there. But the question that you should be asking yourself is, are you even trying to save for times like these? The stats say that we're not doing that as Black Americans. That's what the stats say. And we're going to make a video on that. The stats say that we're not even attempting to save, because our dollar is gone as soon as it gets into our pockets. We get that paycheck, the dollars come out. Whether that's because we're living above our means, whether in terms of living, or we're living above our means in terms of buying different possessions that we don't need. It's unnecessary. Okay, so we're going to go on just a little bit here. It's not a long article, but it really is profound in bringing out the problems that we're facing in our communities. Many homeowners were working class workers who lost their jobs. So loss of income means that you're going to fall behind on your payment. Black people don't have the same amount of wealth to absorb those economic shocks as our white peers. Now we're talking wealth. So it's not just about income. See, a lot of people focus so much on the income, which obviously is step one, right? You have to have some type of income. But now we're talking what? Wealth. We don't have the same amount of wealth. We don't have the same amount of assets. Right? We're gonna see some stats on home ownership. And I'm not trying to compare us to to white people or Latino community. We're not trying to go there, but how can we as a community grow? How can you watching this video grow? Well, and that doesn't matter what your skin color is. I don't really care about that. But this is particularly speaking to Black Americans. This is written by a Black woman. Let's go on a little bit. It talks about missed mortgage payments. Missed mortgage payments ultimately can lead to foreclosure and the loss of an opportunity to build equity and narrow a gap that has resulted in a typical white family having eight times the wealth of the typical Black family. Why? That word right there. Equity. Not building equity. Where are your priorities lying? See, we make these videos where we say like, y'all spending too much money on X. You're spending too much money on Y. And I have friends who talk to me who say like, I'm having trouble saving. And when we really sit down, talk about their finances a little bit, I don't even have to know how much you make. I just need to look at your budget. Most times I'm sitting down with either clients or close friends or family. I just gotta look at your budget. And there's the problem right there. It shows me, see, and I said it's not about the income. It is about the budget. That's we know that's important. But when I look at that, it shows me that your mind is not even there. It's not even about building equity, man. Like, you're not thinking about that. And that's steps ahead. Let's go on. I don't mean to get into a rant, but like this, looking at this article, it saddens me. Because my community is not in a place that we should be. Part of it isn't our fault, but there's a lot that we can do to fix this situation. And I'm going to do, myself, my team, we're doing what we can. We're going to do what we can to help. And let's pay attention to the rest of this. Here's a quote: "You fall behind on your payments, it makes it more likely you'll lose your home. It impacts your credit score, which reduces your ability to get another home or a good interest rate on any other items that you need. So it can be devastating." We talk about credit score on this channel, how to build your credit score. A lot of people don't think about that. They're not worried about that. Let's keep looking. Let's keep watching here. All right. This was yes. Okay, so a lot of things went wrong for I think it was skip down just a little bit. Because it talks about how we're more likely to lose our jobs. That's right here. Oh, yes. And they face more widespread and more costly healthcare emergencies due to greater exposure to the virus and less access to healthcare in their communities. Now, that's why I say there's big problems. It's not like it's as simple as, hey, why don't you have emergency fund? There's bigger problems in our community, and that's not my expertise, but I'm not trying to neglect that. I just wanted to point that out. Now it gets into college degrees and how I'm not going to read this part, but it gets into college degrees and how us having a college degree as a black American compared to a white Americans are making more. Homework, look into why that is in particular. Look into reasons that are stated on why that is. Or if you know that why that is, if you have the answers, or if you find the answers, I want you to put it in the comments below. Why is it that black Americans do not make as much as white Americans and they both have the same college degree? Why is that? All right. And it says here, it's more difficult to build up a sizable emergency fund to cover expenses because of that. Roughly 28.5% of black households that used their savings during the pandemic also had to borrow from relatives and friends. It's 28.5%. And that's compared to 16.1% of white households who did the same thing. And, what does that do? It's stopping you as an individual from building wealth. It's stopping your friends, your family from doing the same thing. I get it. These are uncertain times. Totally understand that. But if you look into the statistics, the stats say, and a lot of you run into it where, your friends, family, they're asking you for money, you lend them the money. It's coming out. It's something coming out your pocket. Usually it doesn't return. These are situations that happen. And I'm not saying you shouldn't give. I'm not saying you shouldn't be there to help. Please don't get me wrong there. But what are we doing as a community to stop these things? To halt that? What are we trying to accomplish? What are you trying to accomplish? These, an article like this you should have questions in your mind just racing. To Sell or Not to Sell talks about whether foreclosure is going to affect selling. It's unfortunate, but obviously people are going to sell their home. They're going to do that for sake of credit score. They're going to do it for the sake of having money in their pocket. They just can't afford it. It's going to happen. There was one part of this that I wanted to highlight, though. Okay, let's read this quote right here. Households that lose their house to foreclosure will find it increasingly difficult to get credit for other things, such as starting a business. Those who lose their home are going to find it difficult to get credit for other things. Like what? Starting a business, which is how you gain real wealth. Those households that decide to sell their house will not be able to see wealth gains from home equity increases. How do you gain wealth in America? How has it been gained over the past? If you don't know the answer, look it up. If you know the answer, put it in the comments. How has wealth been built through decades, centuries? How has it been built? This could contribute to rising wealth inequality, both within the black community and between black and white households. It goes into the lady from Jamaica, Queens. This is the end right here. Now, this is where Weller kind of breaks down the problems a little bit more. And this is the end of the article, but I'm going to leave you guys with a few questions. And feel free to discuss in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on what we're bringing out here. A variety of steps, from better enforcement of fair housing laws to tax credits that can help bolster savings, could help more black Americans buy and hold onto homes. Now, In these situations, no doubt it needs to be done. But answer this question for me. Do you think that we as a community, black community, are doing enough? If you fall into a Latino community, do you feel like the Latino community is doing enough? If you're whatever you are, do you feel like you're doing enough? Are you doing enough saving? Are you doing your part before what they're saying here, before what the government can do? Are you doing your part? Ask yourself that question. It means putting an end to housing market discrimination, which is a big thing, by enforcing fair housing standards so that black homeowners do not overpay for their house, which is it's a real thing. And it will require sustained attention on labor market equality so that black workers truly have access to the same stable, well-paying jobs with good benefits that white workers have. The challenges are systematic and require systematic changes. Absolutely. My thing is we still have to do our part. Part of doing our part may be advocating for different programs, as is talked about at the end of this article. But what are you doing in your own home? What are you doing for your pockets, your children's pockets? We talk about generational wealth, but we don't really know how to get it. And I shouldn't say all. It's not all, obviously. But on average, who really knows? Who's really doing the work? I had to bring this article up to you all because I want to spark these conversations. These conversations need to be had, and they are starting to be had in the black community and Latino community. But we got to keep it going. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about this article. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video, subscribe to join the Freedom Fam, and we'll see you in the next video.